Recently, I've been taking a little peek at the Godot game engine, and because of this, I went on the great website itch.io and was just looking at the game jams calendar when something caught my eye. Ladies and gentlemen, the worst visual novel game jam. I don't make games, and I never really made a proper game before, except a crappy Flappy Bird clone I made with Unity. But you see, to win this game jam, you have to create the biggest pile of dog shit ever. Literally, the worst one wins. So here's my idea, right? A dating simulator where all my friends are the characters, including myself. Sounds bad already? Good. Very good. Let's get started. First up, how am I going to make this game work? Well, I will use a plugin for Godot called Dialogic, which handles all the dialogue, scenes, background, UI, and more. So basically, I won't have to code, which I see as an absolute win. So I opened Godot, made a new project, then tried to import the Dialogic plugin.
We're gonna drag this over here. I think it crashed. I think it's working. It's not working.
I spent a while trying to get it to work. I believe Godot was crashing because I was using an incompatible version, but I'm not sure since I somehow got it to work. Now, since this game will be 2D, I can't put my really great modeling skills to use, and will actually have to draw everything, which isn't really a strong suit of mine, but whatever. Not too long ago, I was trying out RPG Maker XP, and for a cutscene, I drew this. So, it's going to be the intro to my game. Anyway, I drew a bunch of sketches for the characters, then imported it to the game. And now I'm realizing I have all this footage of me drawing them, and I don't really have anything else to say, so I'm just trying to expand the very little time I have because I want to use up this footage. You know how I said I wasn't gonna have to code? Well, I lied. I still had to create the script to start the first timeline of Dialogic upon game start. But that's pretty much it. And a game main menu, but that's kind of optional. Anyway, this UI really isn't going to cut it for this game. So let's make some UI that will fit our aesthetic. And here's another problem. I don't know how to do that. In Dialogic, there are styles. You can make your own styles, but this is just too hard for my brain to understand. Look, Hero can change the text box texture, but what the hell is a tress file? How do I create one? How do I edit one? I searched for information about this, and I couldn't find anything. So I just decided to move on to another simpler game engine, the Ren'Py engine, which is built specifically for creating visual novels. The only drawback is that I'd have to actually type code. Well, sort of code. The Ren'Py code is a very simplified version of coding and not hard to understand, but still, if I zoom through it like this, you'll probably think,
"Whoa, that's so cool, that's so much code!"
But really, everything here is extremely simple. So I downloaded Ren'Py, watched the tutorial, and was able to make a sprite and text appear on the screen. It's extremely simple. Here's the code to show an image on the screen. You just type show followed by the name of the image, and you just put the text in quotation marks, and it works. So I crafted together an intro sequence, replaced the default UI elements with my own ones, and it was looking pretty good. Well, I mean bad. I sketched a bunch of backgrounds for hallways and rooms and put them into the game. Next, I added sound effects to the game. It was pretty easy, but unlike images, they require the whole path, which you put in quotation marks. So you just type play, sound, name. To make it easier, I defined the sound effects that I used more than once at the start of the script and gave them a name so I can use them more easily in the future. Then I thought of the great idea to let a few people playtest the game to see if I was going anywhere in the right direction. Let's start by introducing our first subject, playtester. This is Addy.
Shut up, shut up.
He's actually the oldest person in my server, I think, who hasn't been online for literally 2 years until today and lives somewhere in the slums, hence the audio quality and accent. So I grabbed him and forced him to install and play my new game.
Game, audio, script. What script is there? What? Are you fucking with me, man? What is this? I'll be honest, I didn't even read the fucking mic. I have no clue what the fuck is going on. Why is he named? She's not the one to like. You want to see something? Oh, she's definitely gonna harvest my kidney.
Wait, do you hear any sound effects?
What's really, to be honest?
Are you even reading the dialogue?
Yes, of course. He's definitely going to touch me, man. Look at the face. Look at his teeth, man. You can't trust someone with teeth like that. I know. What the fuck? Did you just jaywalk out the fucking room? This is a very interesting game, man. Such an interesting. Is that Goku's hair just Ramir? Are you trying to avoid copyright by not using the real?
Yeah, I'm not using anyone's name.
Oh man. Wait, is this the reference to that meme that Ren'Py did? Man,
Yeah.
McDonald's. No, man.
Some ketchup packets.
Flashback.
One just comes in there. Nah, no Big Mac. I'll take the ketchup. But you know the way they ask you, do you want ketchup, and they put it to you. I'm the guy that stands there and tells more until 15 in my fucking bag.
End of flashback.
Well, I think that's something to eat. Your hunger remains pretty much the same.
Yeah, that's it. It goes back because there's nothing else after that point. That's all there is. You gotta make the worst visual novel.
Isn't technically the worst visual novel just a good novel? Because we're talking about gamers here. Anything good they fucking hate, so... And anything terrible they fucking love. So, Mr. Simon Sir, after my very critical thinking, very collective thinking, you know, I was out of the fucking server for 2 years. And I came back only to play this game. And after a very careful, considered amount of time of playing the game and completing it, I would like to say that I would like to kill myself.
He loved it, even though I could not understand about 70% of what he said. Our next subject, Cubic1337. He was the only person available at that time, so I invited him to play.
Yeah, so it says it has viruses.
Well, yeah. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. What the fuck is Almond?
What does he look like to you, man?
Dude, is that Benjamin?
Yeah.
He recorded me playing the game.
You can go.
Yeah, let's go. Oh, what's this?
He's mewing! Cubic, tell Simon to add a reference to my jawline in the game because come on man, I clearly have the best jawline in the entire server. Know what I mean?
Dude, like... I actually... Wait, what the fuck? My mic's actually in my asshole, okay.
Nah man, like... You don't read it!
Oh, that was cool. Go left, now left, right? Right. Relax. Room. Boom. Yeah. Oh, what the fuck is this?
You wanna give your honest review after playing the game? You wanna give your honest review?
Man, this is W. This is a massive W.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
After gaining absolutely nothing from letting these guys playtest, since I added sound effects, the obvious next thing to do is music. So after a very long time, I finally opened FL Studio again and was determined to create the biggest piece of garbage soundtrack ever. I randomly placed notes with random instruments, and I'll warn you, if you don't want to get ear cancer, skip a few seconds into the future. Then I made another one, and I'll warn you again, this one's actually kinda better though. Yeah, so I put these into the game. It's absolutely horrible. The game feels so much worse already. It's great. I also added a sewer ambience in the bathroom, which is the only area without music. Sort of scary. Whoa.
If you made this round of video, congrats! But it's important news! Some sort of Discord server being overrun by Polish people! Such a big problem, so it's up to you. Well, if you're not Polish, so join the Samsung Discord server and stop these fucking bastards from doing as they please! Now back to the video.
Link in the description. Lastly, I added voice acting to the game.
Hey, what's up, kid? Boy, what's the crack?
It is daddy, not a daddy, daddy!
No, that will be piss!
I gotta skip battle over there. Right, kid? You're free to go.
Even though I originally hadn't planned on doing that because I thought there was no way I could get everyone to voice act in a short amount of time. But when you think about it, if some characters have voice acting and some don't, It makes it so much worse and more confusing. So right before the end of the game jam, I decided to add voice acting to the game. As I guessed, I didn't have enough time to get voice actors for all of the characters. I didn't even voice act myself, that's how unmotivated I was. But that's not even the worst part. Whenever a person gets to a new line of dialogue, the character says a different line. That means I have to cut up all the voice lines into separate sentences, and I'm definitely not doing that. As a result, once you start talking to someone, the audio just starts playing until a question is prompted or the dialogue ends. It's unbelievably horrible because if the player doesn't read the dialogue and advance to the next one in time, they just can't catch up. The characters will just keep talking and talking.
I was just noting the situation is I swear this building could collapse.
So that's all about voice acting. Personally, I think it's a great addition to the game and will make it miles worse. On top of that, I completely forgot that I don't have to define the path to the audio every single time I use it. Before, I was doing that so I could access it more easily since I used it more than once. But these voice lines were one-time use, so it was a total waste of time. I defined each and every one, for no reason. After this, the closer I got to finishing the game, the less I wanted to work on it. In the end, I just rushed everything, made a random encounter, and added like 4 endings to it, which are all pretty similar. And that's all for the game. I exported it with the web format, uploaded the game to itch.io, and created a nice looking page. This video took a shit ton of time to make, so if you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and give me some feedback in the comments. It has also come to my attention that over 95% of you are not subscribed. What's up with that? What are you guys doing? You're missing out. Anyway, here is a review from a satisfied customer.
Actually, miserable experience. I had the worst time of my life playing this video game. I will not go back to do the other endings. I cannot make myself. You have successfully created the worst game in all of existence. I hope you are happy with yourself. 5 stars.